The film starts by introducing a man named Ju Seong, who is a corrupt Korean police officer, and is involved in the drug business with a Yakuza member named Tomokawa. That night, Tomo was torturing an honest police officer, who was investigating the drug case, and his name was Kyung-sik. This happened because Kyung-sik had interfered with his business. As a result, Ju Seong decided to kill him with a baseball bat. After that, Ju Seong warned Tomo to be more careful in choosing transaction locations, and in drug manufacturing, especially since Ju Seong intended to sell them to another mafia group. Then, Tomo instructed his subordinates to wrap Kyung-sik in plastic and throw him into the sea. The next day, some thugs were beating up people to instill fear. Luckily, Seok, also known as Mae McDonald, arrived just in time and separated them peacefully. However, because the thugs insisted, Seok was forced to fight and beat them up. Thanks to Seok's deadly punches, the thugs were left battered. Shortly after, patrol police arrived to secure them, but Seok was almost arrested because he was accused of being involved in the fight. However, after the police explanation, they decided not to arrest Seok. Then Seok went to the office as usual. Here, we learn that Seok had just been transferred to Guangzhou City, and the unit he was assigned to is now led by Taeso, who also has a trusted partner named Manj. A little later, their unit received a new case to investigate. The case seemed a bit strange because they had to find the body of a woman, who allegedly fell from the 8th floor. During the investigation, Seok was assisted by Manj and 2 other colleagues. They divided their tasks to investigate the witnesses, while Seok and Manj went to the forensic lab. Upon arriving at the forensic lab, Seok was shocked by the evidence that the woman's death was caused by a drug called Hyper, which originated from Japan. Additionally, the forensic expert mentioned that the victim was likely thrown from the building rather than falling on her own. Then, Taeso called Seok and informed him that the witnesses had provided their statements. The conclusion was that the case would be transferred to the Anti-Narcotics Division. However, Seok opposed this decision because he believed that the woman was intentionally killed. To investigate further, Seok invited Manj to visit the nightclub that the victim had visited before her death. Here, Seok dressed in a suit and felt very handsome, but the women were afraid to see him because of his large build. Shortly after, a young man named Dong Moon approached Seok, who turned out to be an informant with a wide network. Dong Moon helped Seok and Manj enter the nightclub without waiting in line. Once inside, they headed to the VIP room to meet the club owner, Lisa Cole. But as they were about to climb the stairs, they were confronted by a large bodyguard. Not only that, they dared to attack Seok. However, Seok, being a pro player, easily defeated the bodyguard with just one punch. Upon arriving in the VIP room, Seok was shocked to see people there partying with hyper drugs. Realizing this, he immediately instructed Manj to contact headquarters. Then Seok attacked all of them and quickly captured Lisa Chul, who was singing karaoke with the hostesses. Meanwhile, Ju Seong and Tomo met with Mr. Opik and Aunt Jin, who were Chinese mafia members interested in buying hyper drugs from them. Ju Seong confidently stated that he could sell up to 20 kilograms if Aunt Jin could pay for it. They agreed, and the transaction was scheduled. The next day, Seok interrogated Lisa Cole and asked her who sold hyper in her nightclub. But Lisa Cole refused to answer, angering Seok. He decided to beat her up, but to avoid being caught by his boss, He immediately ordered his team to pretend to clean the CCTV. While cleaning the CCTV, Seok-do attacked Lisa Cole and left her badly injured.
우리 진실의 방을 청소하자.
After that, Lisa Cole was willing to speak up, and revealed the name of the drug dealer to Seok-do. She mentioned Hiroshi, who was one of Tomo's subordinates. Learning this, Seok-do immediately mobilized his team. He and Manj would confront the dealer associated with the Yakuza, while Teiso and the others would capture Hiroshi.
야, 얘 데리고 가.
Seok-do met with Dong-mun, and asked for his help in finding the drug dealer, who had connections with the Yakuza. Dong-mun revealed that the dealer close to the Yakuza was Mrs. Jung and her brother. Upon hearing this, Seok-do went to meet them. However, Seok-do was confronted by Mrs. Jung's brother. As usual, Seok-do easily defeated him. After that, Seok-do and his team searched every corner of the room, and found several packages of hidden hyper drugs belonging to Mrs. Jung. Realizing this, Mrs. Jung remained silent, but eventually confessed to Seok-do that she obtained the hyper drugs from Hiroshi, who was known to be extremely dangerous. Seok-do contacted Teiso and warned him to be careful while capturing Hiroshi because he was highly dangerous. When they arrived at Hiroshi's apartment, Teiso and his team successfully apprehended Hiroshi and his subordinates. On the way back, Teiso called Seok-do to inform him that they had successfully captured Hiroshi. However, their phone call was suddenly cut off when their car was rammed by a heavily armed group. To their surprise, it was Ju Seong and his team, who wanted to retrieve the hyper drugs to sell to Aunt Jin, a mafia member. Seeing this, Hiroshi pleaded with Ju Seong for help, but Ju Seong, without hesitation, killed him. In reality, Hiroshi was Ju Seong's loyal partner. Upon reaching their base camp, Ju Seong changed his clothes to avoid being tracked by the police. He then went to Tomo's headquarters, and confronted him for his inability to protect their merchandise. The next day, Seok-do and Manj went to the hospital to visit Teiso and his team, who were injured in the clash with Ju Seong. Seok-do was furious about what happened to his team. In another place, we are introduced to a smuggler named Kim who worked with Tomo but was not familiar with Ju Seong, because Tomo did not introduce him. Tomo expressed regret for working with Ju Seong, a corrupt police officer, due to his overly violent nature. Later, the focus returns to Seok-do, who is suddenly visited by his former team members from his previous unit. They both wanted to join the investigation as they had discovered their superior's gun at Hiroshi's house. It turns out their superior was Kyungsik, who was killed by Ju Seong at the beginning of the film. However, they did not suspect Ju Seong, as he was the head of the anti-narcotics division. Upon learning this, Seok-do and Manj went to Ju Seong's office to inquire about the drug investigation. However, Seok-do became suspicious of Ju Seong's strange behavior, especially when discussing Kyungsik's death. The situation almost escalated into a fight, but luckily Manj calmed Seok-do down and they left the office.
이게 야쿠자 애들하고 연관이 있다고 들어서 부서 정경식 팀장이라고 아세요? 그 사람 형. 그만.
During the journey back, Seok-do called his team to ask who knew a lot about the drug dealers in the area. His teammate mentioned that there was a gangster named Cho Rong who knew everything. Seok-do decided to go to Cho Rong's location. Unfortunately, Cho Rong did not welcome Seok-do, so they engaged in a fight. As usual, Seok-do easily defeated him. Seok-do then took Cho Rong to the police station for interrogation. Cho Rong expressed willingness to cooperate with the police, and even agreed to help set a trap for Tomo.
주말마다 일본 애들 데리고 와서 가요.
In another place, we are introduced to Ichizo, the leader of the Yakuza in Japan. He mobilizes his troops to oversee his drug business in Korea. Furthermore, Ichizo orders his right-hand man, Riki, to kill Tomo, who is unreliable in his work. He also instructs Riki to seize all of Tomo's stock of hyper drugs.
片付けてこい。きっちり片付けて戻りますから。
In a different location, Ju-seong panics when he learns that Tomo plans to take away all the drugs that will be sold to Naenya Jin. Tomo does this out of fear of being killed by Riki, who is known for his brutality. As a result, Ju-seong asks Jin for a 2-day extension to return the goods. Jin reluctantly agrees, but threatens to kill Ju-seong if he fails.
这么还没到. 이틀만 더 시간을 주시죠.
到时候还见不到货.
The focus then shifts to Tomo's subordinates who are preparing to escape. Unfortunately, Riki and his men arrive and slaughter them all. Finishing off Tomo's subordinates, Riki realizes that he hasn't found Tomo yet. He mobilizes his men to search for Tomo in every region of Korea.
友がどこだよ。何が何でも探してこい。
In another location, Chorong takes Seokdo and Manj to his nightclub, where many Japanese Yakuza members are present. Chorong asks his assistant to act as a translator for Seokdo during negotiations with the Yakuza to inquire about Tomo. However, the Yakuza members mock them, forcing Seokdo to engage in a fight with them. As usual, Seokdo manages to defeat them even though he is alone. Seokdo fails to find Tomo's whereabouts, but encounters Kim hiding at a table. Seokdo interrogates Kim about Tomo's whereabouts, and Kim reveals his location. However, it turns out Tomo has been taken by Rika's subordinates and is badly beaten. Upon learning this, Seokdo intercepts their car to capture Tomo. However, Riki, wanting to escape, immediately rams into Seokdo's car. Fortunately, Seokdo was unharmed after the car crash. After successfully capturing Tomo, Riki immediately interrogated him about the storage location of the hyperstock. However, Tomo refused to disclose the information, which made Riki angry. He brutally killed Tomo.
横流しした薬。そうか。
Riki targeted Ju-seong for assassination as he suspected that Ju-seong had the hyper in his possession. The next day, Ju-seong was shocked to see Tomo's lifeless body. In another location, Seokdo interrogated Kim again about the perpetrator, who rammed into Taesu and his team. Kim revealed that the culprit was not from the Yakuza, but someone else, Ju-seong. However, Kim didn't know much about Ju-seong other than his name.
우리 형사들 덮친 게 누구야?
야쿠자는 아니에요.
얘 안 되겠다. 문 잠궈.
아니야.
Eventually, Seokdo decided to capture Ju-seong, and all the Yakuza involved in the drug business. Seokdo and his team searched Kim's factory for information but found nothing. On the other side, the police discovered Kyungsik's body at sea. That night, Ju-seong sent his subordinates to search for supplies at Tomo's hideout, but they encountered Riki instead. Riki ended up killing Ju-seong. Enraged by the turn of events, Riki called Ichizo to demand immediate payment, if he could find the hidden hyper stock. Ichizo laughed upon hearing this, because he was the true owner of the hyper and had plenty of stock.
날 한 번에 죽였어야지.
그 약은 회장님 겁니다.
타타즈키가 독이다 그래요.
Ju-seong grew increasingly frustrated, especially after breaking his agreement with Naenya Jin to deliver the hyper. As a result, he was tortured by Jin's henchmen. However, Ju-seong fought back, ultimately defeating them.
넌 이제 필요 없어.
Afterward, Ju-seong asked Jin for more time, and promised to obtain the hyper soon.
회장님이 내 약 사는 거야.
The focus shifts back to Seok-do and Manj, who become more suspicious of Ju-seong. They decide to visit Ju-seong's office to gather more information. However, since Ju-seong is not present, Seok-do tries to inquire from his assistant. The assistant responds rudely, leading Seok-do to break his index finger.
뭐 좀 물어봅시다.
Upon returning, Seok-do receives new information from Kim, who suspects that the hyper stock is hidden on a ship. Seok-do and Manj quickly rush to the harbor, but encounter Ricky's subordinates guarding it, leading to a fight. After defeating them all, Seok-do tries to search a drawer on the ship. To his surprise, the ship has a secret room inside, containing a suspicious trunk. Curious, Seok-do forcefully tries to open it. Inside the trunk, they find a submarine that sinks to the bottom of the sea. They retrieve it and discover a bag containing the hyper drugs. Later that night, Seok-do meets Jo-rong to ask for assistance. However, they witness Jo-rong pressuring his customer to buy his car at a high price. But when Jo-rong sees Seok-do, he suddenly claims that the car is very cheap.
네, 아저씨 장난쳐?
그랬어.
아니에요 형님. 아줌마 제가 언제 그랬어요?
Afterward, Seok-do convinced Jo-rong to cooperate once again by asking him to call Ju-seong, and claim that he has the hyper. Initially, Ju-seong was skeptical because Jo-rong sounded suspicious, but Jo-rong persisted and eventually convinced Ju-seong. Ju-seong agreed to meet Jo-rong to negotiate about the hyper. However, that night, it was not Ju-seong who showed up but Riki, and his men, as Ju-seong had planned to set up Jo-rong to meet with Riki. Consequently, Jo-rong was captured, and Seok-do was hit on the head until he lost consciousness. When the bag was opened, it turned out to contain salt because the real hyper was still in Manye's possession. Learning this, Riki felt deceived by Seok-do and Jo-rong. In another location, Ju-seong managed to find Manj, and took the bag containing the hyper. Ju-seong ordered his men to kill Manj and his friend. Fortunately, Taeso arrived with his team, but the cunning Ju-seong managed to escape. Seok-do was tortured relentlessly by Ricky's men, in an attempt to extract the location of the hyper's storage. Suddenly, Ju-seong called Riki, and proudly displayed the newly stolen hyper. Learning this, Riki planned to stop Ju-seong. Seok-do, unwilling to stay idle, slaughtered some of Ricky's men. Witnessing this, Riki commanded his top subordinate to duel with Seok-do. As expected, Seok-do easily defeated him. Panicked, Riki drew his katana, leading to another battle. Eventually, Riki died due to his mistake in facing his opponent. Seok-do then rushed to chase Ju-seong, who was attempting to escape. Their pursuit led them into the police station. Unbeknownst to Ju-seong, Seok-do had previously hidden a tracking device in the bag containing the hyper. Panicking, Ju-seong was forced to fight Seok-do in order to escape. In the midst of the fight, they exchanged blows. However, Seok-do emerged as the winner due to his exceptional skills. After the incident, Seok-do and his team celebrated their victory with a drunken party. In the end, Seok-do met his old friend Jang Asu, seeking his assistance. The film concludes here,